வாழ்க வளமுடன், வாழ்க வையகம், வாழ்க வளமுடன். Be blessed by the divine. About 31 years ago, when I was teaching computer science in an institute called the Tamil Nadu Computer Services in Adayar in Chennai, I met this wonderful lady who walked in to learn computer science from me, but ended up teaching how to live a humane life, a social life, how to lead my life towards peace and prosperity, not only for me, but also for my family and the society. Meet Radha Eswar. Radha has been working on social entrepreneurship. I invite her to switch on her video and introduce herself as to what she does in the social entrepreneurship space, so that I can start listening to her along with you on how she is using our Guru Yogiraj Shri Vedatri Maharishi's wonderful methods for introspection, and therefore helping social entrepreneurs to lead towards prosperity, not only for themselves, but also for the entire community of the entrepreneurship initiative itself and the society at large. Radha, welcome aboard. Welcome to the...
Thank you, Murli. I have great pleasure in talking to all of you today. Our Guruji has been a guiding light for me throughout my attempts at trying to make sense of how business needs to be run in this world. His blueprint for peace, world peace, is something that I have often dipped into and tried to see how that can be made into something real on ground. Very difficult, but I think we have reached a kind of working model of what he might have loved to have seen. I often tell Murli, I wish Swamiji were here, and I wish I could go and show him what we are doing. But then Murli always says, yes, he's there with us all the time and he's watching, and that keeps me going. I have been an incubator of social entrepreneurs. I have also designed a particular model called the fractal social entrepreneurship model, by which people who have some advantage in life take on as partners poorer people or people with some disadvantage, and keep them as co-entrepreneurs, not as employees, as co-entrepreneurs, and run a very successful business, which can then be replicated again and again, and therefore scaled very, very effectively through a franchise option. There are a couple of ventures now running. We have Urban Mali Network, we have Sampurna Ahara, Farm Fresh Bangalore, and within Sampurna Ahara, there are at least 4 units, initiatives that are there. Each one of them has been modeled along this line of fractal entrepreneurship model, and all of them meditate. All the members in the groups meditate, and they use this introspection methods very, very frequently to keep themselves on track and to be able to face the challenges that get thrown into their lives on an every minute basis while running their social ventures.
Lovely. Thank you very much for giving a short introduction, very brief, precise. That's your style. So tell us, why is introspection relevant for entrepreneurs?
See, entrepreneurs by nature are people who are pioneers. You know, they are trying to go against the tide of being safe. Employees are extremely safe in the framework of what an entrepreneur can put out. And an employee can get, the employees get their monthly salaries. Whereas an entrepreneur has to be able to earn monies to pay the rest of the employees. And that it's a huge responsibility. So an entrepreneur has to have accountability. An entrepreneur has to be able to decide things very quickly. An entrepreneur should have confidence. An entrepreneur should be able to be flexible, should not be afraid of facing fear, should be agile, and should be able to solve problems, should not crumble down, come what may. You know, your attitude should be, okay, let me take the next step and move forward. So that's so huge, isn't it? On top of this, I'm talking about social entrepreneurs who have to do good for society and who have to tread the right way all the time. So you can imagine the odds against these people are huge. But at the same time, supposing you are able to face each one of these challenges, and it's not about winning, okay? It's about staying alive to be able to face the next challenge. I think that is what entrepreneurs have the capacity to do. They are not blinded by concepts of thinking life is a bed of roses, but they have the curiosity of a child and the interest of a mind that is very agile and able to solve problems and is able to therefore move on to the next step. And if you're smart about it, yes, you could win eventually. So therefore, how is this possible? Without exercise, if a body cannot stay in shape, without an entrepreneurial set of exercises, you cannot be an entrepreneur. And you need mental exercises, physical exercises, and you need discipline of a very rigorous nature. I tell people that I almost conduct army training in my incubation process. There is no shortcut to things. And there can never be a single moment where you can blind yourself with false notions about things. So the only way that can be achieved is by constant introspection on the go, I call it. It's not only simply the few hours that you sit to introspect, but to be able to all the time keep Swamiji's template in mind and go on and on, egging yourself towards thinking as close to truth as possible. And his introspection methods, my God, I have been a very curious person from my childhood. I've dipped into many different ways of handling oneself, of trying to get the best out of this life for ourselves. And I find that the introspection exercises are, it's a set of the most practical, doable, and achievable kind of methodology to understand for yourself who you are and to be able to guide yourself into something better every day, one step at a time. It's amazing. The results that I've found, I've handled perhaps over 300 people or so in this process. Each one of them has been impacted in a very positive manner. I've not had success. At least 50 to 60% of people that I have worked with have dropped out of the system because it's very rigorous. But I know that to this day, if any one of those people get into some kind of problem, I know that these templates come immediately to their minds and they would use it because it is so easy and so doable. That's why.
Okay, so you're saying that introspection is relevant for entrepreneurs. So I understand from your point of view, but what are the typical issues or what are the typical reasons or typical situations in which you have found introspection to be one of the most useful tools for entrepreneurs?
Entrepreneurship is an ocean. It's a huge ocean. And every entrepreneur who decides to be an entrepreneur is not ready for it. It's like, as you and I have discussed, Murli, none of us is ready for even marriage. We have all kinds of ideas put into our heads by media and by books and movies and things like that. But being married and staying married and enjoying it in the way that Swamiji has shown us, um, I think that's an achievement over a lifetime, isn't it? Similarly, even entrepreneurship is a marriage with fate. And that is even more difficult because of the number of challenges that you have to face. It's much more than what a family can pose as challenges. So nobody is prepared for it. To this day, I have found that everybody feels like they are being dropped into ocean without being taught how to swim. So therefore, you take, for example, why did I want to become an entrepreneur? There was only a single reason. When I was of the age of 22, I had a notion that I didn't want anybody to be my boss. That was the only reason. Is that a reason, good enough reason to be an entrepreneur? Well, I was too shy. I wouldn't know how to express a thought that would, take me forward in any discussion. Debates were something that I would, just avoid. I did not like social gathering. How was I ever going to be an entrepreneur? But there I was. I had this fixed notion: I shall not work under anybody. And then I had another thought: I am a woman. I had to show people that I could have a career. How could I become an entrepreneur? So I had to take myself up and handle myself, understand where I came from. And I was very, very lucky to have several sessions with Swamiji. I have had personal discussions with him as well. And every time when he would, blow the kind of notions that we used to have with very practical, down to earth analysis of things, it would really shock me uh, to see that we had spent, in my case, I had spent 22 years growing up very fine. I had a lovely family to grow up in. At the same time, little things like sensitivity to what others would say, criticism. How do you handle criticism? How do you handle the fact that actually you don't know everything? How do you tell somebody I don't know? Indians find it so difficult. Anybody asks anything, we immediately say that. Our society prepares us like that, isn't it? Say yes, be good. Don't tell somebody you can't do something. These were things that we kind of adopted. Not that somebody sat down and taught us these things, but we just took it and made it our life. And those were not, they would never work in an entrepreneurship setting. It took me a lot of knocking around and getting hit before I understood and came to grips about who I needed to be if I had to be an entrepreneur. This is on one side. On the other side, the challenges that a woman faces in such a patriarchal society as ours, it has been very daunting. So a woman necessarily needs to work much more in order to keep it going. If you had to stay an entrepreneur, you really had to double the work that a man would normally do in your place. And I'm talking about my times when I was younger. Maybe things have changed now, but definitely I had to prove myself twice as hard as you, Murli. But that is the case,
Yeah.
So with all these kind of challenges where you are not prepared, you're not prepared inside, and your environment around you is also not going to be conducive. And if you take it to a higher level of the country, the world, odds are all set against you. in ways that you are not prepared. It's not like you can't handle these odds, but you have not been trained. So you need some things that will train you very quickly because you've finished your qualifications. You've done your graduation, you've done post graduation, some of us doctorates, but we're still not prepared for entrepreneurship. But I found that the shortest method was to take up Swamiji's meditation, and introspection exercises really depend upon them. And it sets you up, it sets your perspective about life and about yourself. You get to know who you are very, very well. And after that, it's easy.
Lovely. So you're saying in a way that to gain control over your own mind, so internal challenges, internally gaining control over your thoughts, your thinking process, your words, your actions, you need to introspect. And you found Swamiji's tool to be highly beneficial for you. So this is on one side. And the other side, being a woman and being a woman entrepreneur in the society, you have everything stacked up against you. So you had to work um, with the constraints and innovate and succeed in the process. So let me just ask you this question. Entrepreneurs are entrepreneurs because they want to make money. Why would they want to take control over their minds?
Money is a tool, isn't it? Money is a tool towards what? People aspire to make more money because they want to have peace and they want to have prosperity and good health. So instead of thinking entrepreneurs want to make money, let us say entrepreneurs want peace, prosperity, and good health. So when you put it like that, then if I can make money by going and looting my neighbor's house, I would stop myself because that doesn't give me peace. If I don't have that exercise in my mind of trying to reason why I want money, then I would go and loot and I would do the wrong thing. So therefore, only an entrepreneur who understands that entrepreneurs who want peace, prosperity, and good health, they are people who definitely do it only with control. I would, rather than saying control, I would say gain flexibility with their minds, being agile and nimble and flexible to be able to think through anything and come out of it in the right manner. That is an agility that every entrepreneur who wants peace, prosperity, and good health will want. Without it, you're lost, terribly lost. Because
Who wouldn't
entrepreneurship,
want who wouldn't want peace, prosperity, and health? Everybody would want
exactly,
that.
exactly. And if for these three goals, if you use the wrong methods, very soon you will be out of the game, in some ways or the other. Cause and effect teaches us that. You may end up making a lot of money, but how would your life be? Are you saving your soul in the process? Today, I am a very, very peaceful person. Peace is inside of me and all around me. But we know the challenges we face. But in spite of challenges, there is always peace.
Problems will be there, impediments will be there, worry need not be there. No?
Yes, exactly.
It's our choice whether we should face problems without worry or with worry. Problems will not go because we worry about something. So I understand what you're saying. It's very well put, very well summarized. So help us understand which introspection tool of Swamiji's turned out to be most useful for entrepreneurs.
Oh, all of them, all of them. But my favorite, of course, is Who Am I? That is the one thing, I can really use to stump people into facing reality. The rest of the tools are very, very useful. They come after I knock people down with Who Am I? Because everybody comes with such big egos. Egos are built out of insecurity and fear. They're not built because somebody thinks very highly about themselves. Insecurity builds egos. And therefore, these are very frightened people. I'm including myself in this lot. None of us are spared, none of us can escape that happening in our life, where because of our insecurities we develop fears, and because of fears we become egoistic. And the fear to protect and preserve oneself over trying to do something which is correct, that is what really brings us down in life. And we lose energy, we lose the impact of gaining a lot of strength for our life force every time we are egoistic. But we don't understand that. When I have been a patient of cancer. When I had cancer and I was given chemotherapy treatment, I loved children, but when I went out each time for a chemotherapy session and the car would stop at a junction, I'd look out and there would be a small child, perhaps in another car. I'll smile widely at the child, but the child would get so frightened and it will cringe back. And I will not understand. For first few times, I never understood why the child did that. Then I came home. I happened to see my face in the mirror. There was not a single hair, even my eyelashes, even the hair inside my nostrils had all dropped out. So I was bald to the point of, having a glowing skin everywhere. So naturally, children found it extremely frightening, especially if I smiled. So was it my face? This is the lesson that I have always known it, but it was during cancer that I really, really understood the depths to which Swamiji told us. It's not our face, that's the person. It's not our body. It's not our hands, legs. It's not our skills. It's not our fame. So who am I? When I talk this to people slowly over a few days, they get to understand how connected they are with a huge universal energy that protects us and binds us all together. So then I would ask, are you different from another person? And like Swamiji said, would a right hand hit a left hand in the body because the left hand was not capable of doing that? Then why would you hit another person down in an attempt to preserve yourself? And further to this, I love trees and plants. I've read and understood from scientists' research that trees in the forest help each other. If there is a tree in the periphery that does not get enough nutrients, the rest of the trees are connected in the roots through a fungal network. So the rest of the trees pass their nutrients through this fungal network to the tree that needs nutrients. What more can show us the importance of Ubuntu? Ubuntu is a South African philosophy amongst tribes, where you have to help the other person if you need to help yourself. That is the concept, a very beautiful concept. And these philosophies, when they come out, they reflect so much of what Swamiji says as well. And when I discuss this with each member, and when they introspect by themselves using our templates and precise processes that he so easily has set for us, they have more revelations. I have learned from my incubators. I'm not a teacher who knows everything. I hardly do. But since I follow our guru in this practice of using these templates again and again and again, they run into my mind. I know them like the back of my hand. And at every instant I pause and I try to make a decision with respect to whether it fits the template or not. And therefore, this I have been able to give to my incubators, and they have really, really found it easy to set themselves right.
I've heard this many times from you, but it's always inspiring to see it, hear it again and again. By the way, do I have your permission to share your photograph when you were going through chemotherapy, just for
Yes, sure.
people to see
Sure,
how you
please.
looked?
Yes,
Because
definitely.
you talked about a nice little story about a child getting scared of you.
Yes,
So
he's
this is your photograph.
that's right.
This is your photograph, and I think you're
That's
looking
right.
very beautiful here. Just like another child. I don't think there's anything to be scared about you in this photograph at all. But anyway,
No, no,
I
it
guess
must
for
have
some,
scared children. Yes,
I guess so. For a child who's used to seeing an adult with hair, seeing an adult without hair can be a little puzzling, if not a little frightening. So let me
more
just
than
move
the
away
hair on the
from
head, it is the eyebrows and eyelashes. If they are missing, they can
that's right. That
really.
can be a little scary. You're right. Um, so I want to ask you specifically about being a woman entrepreneur. You mentioned there are two areas where Swamiji's introspections have been extremely beneficial. One is overcoming the internal challenges, the ego, the illusion, and so on and so forth. And then the other one is the society stacking up so many constraints against women in becoming entrepreneurs. Now, why? What kind of challenges and what kind of needs for introspection did you come across for women entrepreneurs specifically, Radha?
Actually, I could talk about women entrepreneurs, but of late, I find that men are equally, floundering in areas, and they also need it equally. It's just that it's a slightly different case. So I'd like to talk about both, in fact. If you take women, uh, uh, we start with uh, being given the responsibility of having our monthly periods. We have the responsibility of giving birth to children, nurturing them. And men have to be sensitive to this and should be able to accommodate uh, working as well as being supportive to women in these areas. Both of them lack skill sets to be able to manage this. Women, because I can talk best from my own case. While I would be able to face my challenges of having my periods month after month, work in spite of it, it had a push of I want to try and prove myself. It wasn't something that I happily and easily accepted. So accepting my womanhood in the first place in these days where you have a lot of qualification and you have this whole society pushing you perform, when you have that kind of a setup, you're not kind to yourself. Why not accept that you have a body which has these functions, but instead you have to outdo what you set for yourself, so you're constantly challenging yourself without reason. That's one aspect. Secondly, because of this need to perform as much as you can, and society is not making it easy, so you are awake and alert to taking up and going after your career all the time, in the middle of the night as well. So the body is constantly under a stress of having to perform, having to watch out instead of relaxing a bit. This is on one hand. I have seen other women get very angry with their spouses, with their parents in law, very frustrated with their children, because children can pose multiple problems just when you want to perhaps look your smartest. They will have a need, they'll fall sick, they'll want your attention. And your tone between wanting to outperform and having to take care of the child's need. So, what do you do? How do you balance it? Maybe this is why our elders try and show us that we have to be compassionate to children, we have to be kind to the family. They ingrain these qualities in us, but they do not talk about it base up. They also expose us to, you can be a great career woman, you can perform, but they don't prepare us for the harshness of the whole thing, because frankly it's not like it's their duty, it's just too much. Every parent, I don't know whether I was able to do that for my children, for example. So therefore, how do you manage these things? Your anger at not being able to perform at your best. That's the crux of the whole thing. If you want to be a woman entrepreneur, you want to go out there, you want to do, but you have your spouse pulling at you, you have your children pulling at you, you have your parents-in-law, you have your parents, you have the societal needs that are all pulling you down. You can't finish that one little task that you set out to. I have lost many projects. I have lost many assignments because of the demand that my family has made on me. But at the same time, what did I do in the beginning? I was very harsh on myself, imagining that anyway there would be roadblocks, I would overwork. I think that has been a great reason why I got cancer as well. So how do you relax? How do you accept who you are? How do you accept the things that are around you? And how do you give yourself up to the universal energy to guide and just do your duty of being at peace? What I am today, if I had been like that from the beginning, I'm sure life would have been a lot easier. But both Murli and I have had to learn quite a bit. We had to face these challenges. Without Swamiji's templates, today we won't even be together. We won't, that many challenges we've had in our lives. And I think that is true of every one of us, each one of you who's listening to us. Just thinking about your problems can bring on tears. That much are the challenges. But yet, it was possible to survive through it and come out of it as a better person, as a person who had more ability to know that peace can be within and around us, simply because of sitting down and thinking again and again and again, who am I? Why do I need to be angry with somebody? Why should I worry? Why should I have these desires that are never going to be possible to achieve? And where is this thought coming from? Otherwise, where the fear of turning around and facing that thought that keeps coming up, it's so huge. Many days we've had to spend introspecting to understand where a particular thought is coming, which is interfering with our relationship with not just each other, but with our colleagues, with our clients. It just crops up, isn't it? But when you face them and you understand where this thought comes from, and you're able to superimpose thoughts to help yourself, you certainly become a better person. So
absolutely, peace is a choice. It's like wearing a shirt. You wake up in the morning, you choose. There are so many different emotions, different mindsets that are possible. You choose peace. It's like choosing a dress. There's so many different colors and so many different designs, but you choose a particular dress to wear and you stick on, you wear the dress practically throughout the day. So peace is a choice. When we talk about peace, we often remember Swamiji's recommendation that in order to achieve peace, retain peace, that the other end of your mind is that peaceful state, is that almighty consciousness state, that it is better to sit in silence and introspect. Do you recommend silence introspection for your entrepreneurs? And if so, how do they manage to stay in silence? Because their mind is constantly chattering. It must be chattering, you see, because they have taken up huge responsibilities for other families, other lives, responsibilities for the society, responsibility for perhaps themselves and their families as well, responsibility for the money they have invested in. And there is absolutely no certainty that they are going to be succeeding. In fact, in today's COVID-19 circumstances, there is really uncertainty. This is not risk. In my mind, entrepreneurship is not a risky proposition. It is a totally uncertain proposition. So you need to learn to handle uncertainty. So the mind is constantly chattering, aloud sometimes, but mostly without making much of noise. But there is huge amount of noise inside an entrepreneur's head. So how will they find time to sit in silence and introspect?
Okay. Um, Here I would say that it's like trying to clean a cupboard. A cupboard probably has a lot of clothes in it. Now, if you want to get it organized, you have to stop your activities. You can't keep talking on the phone to someone. You can't keep drinking your tea, or you can't also be throwing some more clothes inside, making a bigger mess, isn't it? So the purpose of achieving clarity, of achieving peace, how huge is it? How much of it is a problem? That decides on how long you need to be in silence. Because when you are in silence, you are able to clean the cupboard better. Now, if your cupboard is in order, then you know that the new cloth that you have to keep inside, you know where you need to keep it inside. But now you know the process, isn't it? So keeping introspection methods in the mind all the time is very essential. And depending on how severe your problems are, that many days, that many hours, you have to be in silence, and you have to declutter your mind. And otherwise, you will be facing the consequences. In the
Cleaning
cause
the
and effect
cupboard,
framework,
yes.
yes. In the
Cleaning the
cause and
cupboard and getting rid of dirt and washing them and ironing them and putting it back into the cupboard and keeping the cupboard clean is absolutely correct analogy to give in terms of cleaning one's own mind of negative thinking. So there must be a lot of fear for entrepreneurs. So because of the uncertainty that they are dealing with, they have invested money perhaps, or they've taken loan, or they're taking loan. There are still loans to be taken. There is no guarantee that they are going to handle, to taste success soon. They probably don't even know whether they will even be successful in their life, even if they try for the rest of their life, and even if they have infinite resources, which they don't have. So there must be a lot of fear in entrepreneurs. So how do you help um, your students or your incubatees to use Swamiji's tool to overcome fear?
um, is by helping them face their fears. The templates are doing just that. If you sit down and you analyze why you are angry, why are you worried, why does this thought keep recurring, or if you sit down to understand who you are, finally what is left is only solutions to help you move forward, isn't it? Any which way you take. In fact, within our fractal ventures, we do not counsel much to each other. We don't keep sitting down and talking and trying to handhold people who are having problems. The more aware amongst us, the people who are having a little more peace in life, whenever another person comes and says, um, I'm not able to perform very well, I mean, it results in that. Until that point, nobody's going to come and tell you, my mother-in-law said this to me, and that is why I'm not able to focus on work today, which is why, I did not fill up this document well, and therefore the client yelled at you and we lost the project. Nobody is going to say that. What you're going to see is there was a failure in the system. One
So
person did
talking
not
about
perform.
failure, just talking about failure, how do you help overcome fear of failures?
Once again, let me complete what I was saying. It will lead to
Sorry,
this as well.
go ahead,
Yeah.
please.
So to be able to analyze and to be able to say, today I'm feeling a little distraught because somebody yelled at me. So can someone else help me? To even come up to that level is difficult for people who haven't understood that they can face their thought, that they don't have to be afraid to ask for help. That can happen only if you can analyze why you're feeling bad. If my mother-in-law or my spouse said this to me, it is because I'm feeling bad because I'm so used to feeling bad about this particular sentence said in this particular tone. That analysis comes only through introspection. What is failure? Failure is a system that is working suddenly stops, isn't it? Either it can stop totally, like in this system can't go forward in this in the way that it was going. So what happens if you die? Your body is going to disintegrate. Are you failing because you are dead? Your body has become something else. So why I don't understand this concept of failure as we talk, because everything becomes something else. That is something that needs to go into people. It's okay. You don't have to personally, Radha does not have to be the be all and end all of everything. Radha is only a channel. The universal energy flows through Radha in order to achieve its own goals, to reset itself. When we understand that we are all channels, then we don't have the concept of failure at all. Today, I had to be the channel to of being the object of somebody venting out, because they were in pain. And if I could help them become a channel by making them sit and introspect or think about their problems, remove the roadblocks in their channel, I have done my duty. This is how I see it. So failure is not that I set these things for myself. I told myself that I should finish say 10 tasks that I had set for myself this morning. When I'm going to bed, I have finished only 7. My God, I didn't finish 3. That is, I have never thought like that. Instead, I would feel so grateful that I could finish 7. My God, I thought I will do only 3, but I did 7. That compassion to oneself and that awareness that we are not running we as this two-eyed, two-handed, two-legged person, we are actually not running something that is beyond our capacity to understand, but we are participating in the bigger game, where what we do nicely definitely has a better impact. If we do something in supposing, say, out of 10 tasks, you completed only 8, but you felt so sad and bad because you couldn't do the 2, then you are not doing your actual job of being a channel to universal energy. So therefore, it's easy to face fears. Fear can come, due to so many things, because you weren't so aware when you were born. In my case, I developed this over many years to be able to face fear. In spite of that, when each time I went to have my chemotherapy, my body would jump up, as an involuntary action. There was fear within my cell. Forget about my brain. There was fear within the cell of my body. So how did I tackle that? I read about the chemotherapy medicine. I discovered that it's actually coming from a tree. I blessed the tree. That's another beautiful tool that I love using from Swamiji, of blessing. After I started blessing the tree and all the different trees that are there in the world, and praying that, they are all well, that I'm well, that the world also should be well. After that, I didn't have that fear in me. So the ability to understand where a problem is, and the ability to understand the different components of the fear itself, can help us solve things. failure should not be thought as failure, and fear also can be categorized, analyzed, broken down into smaller bits, and then apply all that you know about blessing people, blessing things, blessing situation, knowing that peace should be there everywhere. And then you change things. Miraculously, they change. I have put in all the property of my family into creating this fractal model. Often we all think that perhaps, you know, we are not rich enough to do the kind of work that we feel impelled to do. But believe me, to this day, I eat well, I'm clothed well enough, and I'm sheltered well enough. Problems come and problems go. I don't know where that money will come tomorrow. I need money, but I don't know where it will come, but it comes. Miraculously, it comes. So much so I've lost the fear of thinking that where will my money come? Many people look at me and they wonder, why do I continue in this work? Why do I continue doing more and more social service? But then there is peace in this, and somehow universal energy takes care of us.
Believing that we are channel of God, and believing that every human being, every life form is a um, channel of God will certainly help us overcome fear. Very well put across. I don't think anybody would have put it across so simply and so easily for anyone to understand. But tell me, all this philosophical talk, all this philosophy that you are giving to entrepreneurs who are primarily interested in making money, they are not interested in becoming philosophers. They are interested in putting 1 rupee and converting that one into something more sustainable. Don't they get bucked? Don't they get put off by all these philosophical interventions during mentorship? How do you handle them?
So it's very difficult for them. But then I have a process by which, in the beginning itself, I tell the visionary entrepreneurs, as I call them, these are the leaders of every venture who take on as co-entrepreneurs people from extremely difficult situations and environments in life. I tell them that they can do this kind of entrepreneurship only if they were willing to meditate, willing to do introspection exercises, willing to eat whole food plant-based diet, and willing to give time for themselves to change over. In the beginning, they will not really understand the whole extent of what I'm asking. They will say, okay, and they will come on board. But as the, you know, the screw is tightened, only some can actually stay. When the challenges are very heavy, the best people, the people who work very well under happy circumstances, that is, they get their money, they get their projects, and they're able to pay all their colleagues well, those people have failed when difficulty has struck them. It's the people who were steadily trying to learn how to be compassionate to themselves. Those are the groups of people who have always stayed back. That compassion to oneself really brings about faster peace within oneself. Once you have peace within yourself, then you get to know who you are. Once you know who you are a ready actor for performing any act, anything, whether it is a highly profitable business or a business that is facing loss after loss. Now that you have peace inside of you, nothing can move you from your track. And for a persistent person, an entrepreneur who is going on picking at that particular action and, you know, continuing to do that, eventually that entrepreneur will survive. So this has been the pattern, and fortunately for me, since 50% of the people survive, they are role models for the newer ones who come along. It's very easy for me. I just have to say, why don't you have a chat with the senior entrepreneur? People who are coming on board, I don't talk much. I just ask them, we go and ask them for their experiences. And my incubatees are wonderful people who've stayed back. They're wonderful people and they share their experiences, and that really inspires the rest of the people. We have all types of people. We have people, very learned people, doctorates in our midst. We have people who come who are very poor, who have not been to school, but every one of them is treated equally. There is no hierarchy in our system. There is no boss. Only the cause is the boss. The cause drives everybody. And we are also extremely conscious that we do only environment friendly projects. Every action within each venture is only something that is eco-friendly. And Murli and I, Murli is a guru for me. After Swamiji, Murli is my guru. And he has co-authored with me systems of innovative thinking. And we have created several tools with it. And using those tools, nobody is scared of facing problems. There is some way or the other that you can help to solve your problems. So with all these tools, each of my entrepreneurs, they feel a lot more mature than normal people. In fact, sometimes when we get together, we have a hearty laugh over people who've not had the opportunity. We feel sorry for them, we're not mocking at them, but then we laugh because we understand that we could have also been like that. Our laughter is a relief from the fact that we have escaped from being sucked into that pushing ourselves down, losing our self-worth, being hateful about things, carrying a grudge in our hearts, being vengeful, worrying about things, and wanting things that we can never achieve, and feeling jealous of people who have it. Believe you me, these are diseases worse than cancer. And we are very happy that we don't have it, and extremely grateful to Swamiji for having shown us a way.
You are inspiring a change in the DNA, as I could see, of many people who are following you and your work. How do we share your details? How do people contact you? How, if more people want to reach out to you and take your help and guidance, how do they do that?
They can write to me. I have a website called fractalentrepreneurship.org. Sorry. So my email is there on the website, and I'm sure I'll be able to respond immediately.
Okay, I've just shared the fractalentrepreneurship.org slide, and your email ID is radha@fractalentrepreneurship.org. Is that right?
That's right.
Lovely. Okay, so before I ask you the last question, I would like to invite people to raise their hands and click on the hand raise button in Zoom link right now. Or if you're listening to this particular show in over the YouTube, feel free to comment on the YouTube if you have any questions that you would like to ask Radha, and you can either directly ask this question in over Zoom or ask it through me in the YouTube channel. So Radha, is there any question that I have not asked that you would like to answer or you would like to give clarity on?
A lot of things, but I think I'd prefer if people asked me direct questions, and I'd be able to share better.
Okay, I see that there are a couple of questions from Vandana. I'm not sure if she's online. Vandana, are you online? You can please unmute yourself and ask your question. Vandana, are you there? Okay, There are a couple of questions that she has asked. One question I think you already answered, but other question I may read it out. I'm not sure. Vandana is not able to.
Hi, I'm here.
Okay, there you go. Please ask your question to Radha.
Hi, ma'am. As always, it's super inspiring to listen to you speak every single time. And I personally have something to benefit every time we speak. So I asked a question which I think would be beneficial for everyone who's joined us on how can we get our teammates or our team members to meditate and introspect.
Okay, you can't, you can bring a horse to the pond to drink, correct? But the drinking of the water, the horse needs to do by itself. So instead of trying to tell them to do, if you meditated and if you introspected, eventually they will also follow. See, the pain, where the lack of peace inside of people is what makes them tense or, avoid being kind to themselves, ignore the needs of their mind and body. So giving them more peace and showing that you have peace within yourself is definitely an inspiration for others to take up and do. And while you are at it, while you are trying to be peaceful with your practices, you also have to be peaceful with the way you put it across. Telling them why are you not doing it is not going to help. That will only make them rebel more. But inviting them over, giving them a setting where it's easy for them to follow, making it easy for them to introspect, bringing it into your work culture. During working hours, let's meditate. If you're having trouble, why don't you take half a day off, introspect and come back? It's not a waste of time, because eventually those people are going to be more productive, and they are going to be part of your system in a much better way. I hope I answered your question.
All right. Vandana has muted herself. I think that's about it. I don't see any other questions from anyone else. So thank you so much, Radha. Is there anything that you would like to give as your last message to people?
Somebody, Ajit Rao, wanted to ask something.
I'm not sure if he has asked the correct question. I've been asking him to tell me the question, so he's not given any questions. So Kesini is asking a question: what are the qualities or things required for a student to join this organization, that the fractal organization that you're talking about?
The passion to stay being an entrepreneur till the very end. That is all. And if you want to be a person who leads the organization, you should have good mastery over reading, writing, thinking, and computing. Beyond this, I don't require you to do anything else.
Well, the primary quality is the person must be an entrepreneur or wanting to become an entrepreneur, right?
Become an entrepreneur. That passion should, it should not get deterred at all. Come what may, you should want to stay on the course.
All right. Wonderful. Thank you very much, Radha, for being there. Thank you for being a great source of inspiration for many people. I'm sure this interview will be heard by many people over and over again, and will take inspiration from your personal journey through all the difficulties and hurdles that the society has put across to you, and more importantly, the hurdles that I put across you on your path, and still you have survived. So if you have survived, I think you can survive cancer and you can survive everything else, is the message that I believe that you are giving implicitly to people. So thank you very much for being a great source of inspiration and blasting your way through and giving a great inspiration for a lot of people, and it will continue to be a great help for everyone. Srinivasan Parni from UK says, appreciate your support. Varga Vadamudan Kesini says, you are awe-inspiring. Vandana says, be blessed, madam. Sri Vibha Jeeva Ratnam saying, thank you so much. You inspire always. Gayatri Sargunanathan says, thank you, ma'am. Radha Ravichandran said, joined late but went through your work on your website. Very inspiring. Thanks a lot. We'll hear the recording and get back. Also, a few other people have mentioned some wonderful messages, which I would like to read it to you. Highly motivational, says Rupesh, totally agree that peace, prosperity, health should come before money. Social entrepreneurship need a value proposition, and that will only come through introspection, exercise, discipline, and meditation. Do your duty, being at peace. Well said, madam. Great words. I would like to congratulate and our best wishes for scaling up the enterprise to sublimity. Be blessed by the divine. Thank you so much, madam, for such a marvelous session. Regards, Rupesh Kaushik. Amazing sharing. Another person said, really appreciate the positive energy in you in spite of all the challenges. Be blessed by the divine. Dr. Dhavamani from Sharjah says, great initiative to save Mother Earth and the human beings through entrepreneurship with introspection. Wonderful to know that. Broad thinking through Vedatrium and through the fractal entrepreneurship. Emma Marani says she wanted to see you and hopefully she will be in touch with you. She says, Varga Valamudan, Kasturi Sridhar wishes you. Varga Valamudan, Ranganathan wishes you. Varga Valamudan, Kasturi Sridhar also says, really very amazing man. Okay, so Uma Srikanth also said, God bless Varga Valamudan. So I'm sure wishes are pouring from all different directions, even in YouTube, people are listening to it. We have Vinay Kiran saying Namaskaram, Umesh Chand saying Namaste. Then Parni says, he is asking a question about fear, how to overcome, which you have already answered. Then Shiva Prasad also wants you to talk about fear and how to make it better and how to overcome that and how to get rid of ego. I think you have covered all of it. Manoj Kumar Trivedi also said, very nice. So there you go. All the calls, all the wishes, all the blessings to you, and all the credit goes to you for creating a wonderful model of entrepreneurship that I am hoping I will live to see the world envelop it and take it and make it their own and make this world a better and peaceful and a prosperous world for us and for our children and for the future of this planet. Thank you, Radha. Thank you for joining us in this wonderful session. Thank you all for joining this wonderful session. We continue this series of interviews with various people on wonderful topics that we are selecting. We would have on popular demand Dr. Achyutan Ishwar coming back on Friday, that is day after tomorrow, on this channel on Zoom as well as on our YouTube channel, simultaneous live show. And he is going to be talking about the most favorite question that people have been asking him and me over the various channels that we are managing. How do we cook plant-based diet, especially Indian recipes? So come prepared, same time, 9 p.m. Indian time on Friday over the same Zoom channel or over the same YouTube channel. You will have the live coverage. I look forward to seeing you then. Learn how to cook the curries, how to cook sabjis, how to cook sambars and rasams and vadas and dosas and snacks and make sweets, etc. without oil, without maida, without processed food, without ghee, butter, without paneer, and without any kind of animal products. How do you make only using whole food plant-based recipes, Indian dishes for whole food plant-based recipes? Coming up on Friday. I look forward to seeing you once again on Friday evening at 9 p.m. Till then, have a wonderful, blissful time. Have a peaceful time. Stay safe. Varga Valamudan.